Hey everyone, welcome to the BetSperts Golf Wyndham Championship betting preview. I am Ryan Noonan, excited to be joined by my friends. First, Andy Molitor, director of all things content related here at BetSperts. How we feeling, buddy? It is the season finale for us here.
Yeah, I looked at my sheet. I made 0.25 units last week to the good, which is better than, if you don't hit an outright and your matchups daily stuff goes to shit, it's better than most. So better than most. That's a golf thing.
Better than most.
Better than most. So I'll take that. Honestly, if I did that all year, I'd be semi-happy. Hit a few outrights in there. But last chance for a non-playoff outright, and boy, is my fucking card ugly. This is like, hey, everybody, let's take a week off. I was surprised to see a couple of the names that are in here, still in here. A lot of times we've had some decent fields here, but boy, it is a graveyard of as far as top 20 names. I think you only have 2 top 20 names in the whole thing with the big money starting next week.
Yeah, excited for it as always too. Joined by your favorite golf tout. It is our buddy Geoff Feinberg. Geoff, how we feeling?
I'm doing good. It's August. I'm not one of these guys. In my younger days, even maybe a knee injury, I'd want to click my heels together like Dorothy, take me right to week 1. But no, let's enjoy August, the sunshine. Truth of the matter is, I'm just gotta stay positive, Ryan. Like I pick Tony Finau and I get chirped. Like, so I beg the guys over at OC, when I do pick Finau, please don't make him like the article feature link thing. I don't need like, at least if people are going to bash me, let them come inside. I don't need them to see I'm picking Finau by like the cover picture. Yeah. And then it's a whole Twitter feed of same shit from you, fine, like blah, 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 blah. I just love him. I stand for him. I found wins in his losses. Like I appreciated his success and the baby steps and making teams and being great. But I go with 2 second places as he wins back to back. Like I don't know, like even how to compare that to anything else in kind of like sports betting. The numbers were short. I was always more of this Finau full field guy. Give me the 33s, give me the 40, 50s when you could get them. But I don't know, to miss both of them and have second place, that's golf. But I like him so much. I'd be way more upset if it was just a guy that I bet who I didn't actually like truly like. But it still stings. They're not numbers that I miss, but to see people celebrating like with tickets.
What is he? I get that the playoffs are important, but what are you doing? Not just go down to North Carolina. You've been splitting aces for 2 weeks and getting nothing but kings.
It's just a good
you don't
guy.
walk away from a heater.
We thought last week, we joked like, I don't know, he was a bubble boy on 30. Not an actual FedEx Cup bubble boy, but like 30 bubble boy. Obviously, he's played well at Detroit before. Was that Michael Thompson or was that Minnesota? Now they kind of blur together. One of them was a disappointing. Really There's so many disappointing Finau Sundays over the years that they all kind of blur together. But yeah, I think now at this point, Andy, like you play the Open, it'd be a lot of golf, I guess, to full run the FedEx Cup. So a little R&R, kids going to the toy store. Imagine what that toy store is like. I take a kid to the toy store, hit a few Cameron Smith bucks. Imagine what like you actually. I guess we saw, right? Billy Horschel's kids got a pony or some shit. Like that's what happens when these guys win.
We were talking. My kid I got my kid new clubs. It was very coinciding with the end of the NBA draft. Like,
yeah. Oh,
having sure. Wait, like fucking everybody's getting stuff. I felt bad. I bought him clubs and I realized like, oh shit, I have another kid. I should buy her something too.
Oh yeah, exactly. I forget about that too. My wife's like,
out like a bandit.
I was like, you got to get the other one. Like, yeah, I guess, but the other one's like 2.5. You wouldn't even know. Gotta get the other one something.
Yeah.
Great for Finau.
You're actually handling it pretty well, Geoff. I'll be honest.
Cam Smith was so. I don't know. There weren't like big numbers.
Yeah, no, for sure they were. Short,
the first one was straight chalk, which I thought I should have been on. Last week, I don't think I was anywhere near. Like, even as the stand for Tony, it's like back to back Tony.
Yeah.
Like, and I have a buddy who bet him in Minnesota and just straight rolled it over. Like, I'm not going to bet him. And the stats show he's been unconscious. And we've seen these players from, you know, even before, like, they get hot, they ride it. He's been riding it. So to the point of not in Sedgefield, I guess we're thankful of that. He'll be so cheap, and it'll be, people are going to like mock his number in full field, I tell you. It'll be like he held off Grillo and Pendrith, and Cantley never really got close to Finau. Now he's this and that. Whatever. I don't know. And winning as the favorite's not easy too. We've seen that a bit this year, and I guess overriding conversation, I'll like tee it up. Unless you bet Billy Horschel at Memorial, and I don't know why you would have and who the hell did. Like, you don't hit numbers. And I'm upset that I haven't hit more golf bets considering where the winners have come from, truthfully. Because I get it. If you're never at the top, you don't like the top, you know you have your trust that you will hit your quote at the back, and that can sustain you for plus money or break, whatever, great. I'm not afraid to overexpose and get to the top. So probably feels like there's so many missed oppos, but yeah, I don't know. And I'm pretty invested, like 25 to 40 this week, guys. Like, I'm back to last week. I was like,
that's just been winning, Geoff,
yeah.
too. We haven't, you know, it's funny. Like, we saw oh my God, the 3M, it's always been 100 to 1 or more for the 3-year sample size. And then we get chalk. But I mean, outside of some of these chalks hitting, all the winners, like, we haven't even had a big one for.
And Boston doesn't count. The whole field was big numbers.
Yeah,
that's like an outlier when having this conversation.
Well, Geoff mentioned it was Billy Ho was 60 at Memorial. Outside of that, everything's been shorter.
As big as you get.
Yeah.
KH Lee for the double dip, but like now we're going back like
right. That's
very deep.
Yeah, that's a long time.
So the bomb players have been getting killed. At least in this.
I don't think I looked at that. I don't know if it's my brain is broken and this is a mistake, but like, I'm going to try to avoid some of these bomb players because they're not only because they haven't been hitting, but there are so many guys from like 25 to 40 I'm in love with this week. Yeah. And I said it's an ugly card because it's an ugly field, but that's going to be the card. I think if I do bomb stuff, it's going to be like, hey, guess what? You know, you're a bomb player I like. Yes, you're just going to have to go into like a top 20 bet or a top 40 bet.
I'm committing no
Martin Laird, guess what? I'm not betting you Martin Laird. You're not going to win this. I'll bet you top 20.
And I struggle with FOMO, but I just look at all the bombs. There's no one. Geez. I don't want to say no. Like, what am I going to tout? Like Matthias Shaw, but like, no. Like,
Duncan.
Like, I'm just saying it doesn't. I don't know. I got no bombs. Like Andy. It's sort of that 25 to 40. There's one or two bodies between. There's so few bodies even between 50 and 100, maybe like 3 or 4 that I am circling around. But yeah, at this point, I guess I'll get burned if the bomb wins. And it's, I don't. Yeah.
Well, even if the bomb wins, you know, you still have to pick it right. Like those are.
No, I'm just of course. Of course, not to say if a bomb won in Minnesota, I'd have been on it just because I played like 4 bombs.
Yeah, we have actually like that either. Here we have 5 of the past 8 were 90 or higher. Last year there were 70s available pre-tournament on Kisner. So this has been a place where we have seen, because again, it's Donald Ross track, but it does play in a lot of ways like a Pete Dye track, and we know that those Pete Dye tracks typically bring everyone in the field, which we saw last year. We literally had everyone in the field basically make the playoff. We had a 6-man playoff. For some reason, Russell Henley could not make a putt on Sunday, lost himself about 4 strokes putting on Sunday, including a little tapper on the 72nd hole, kept him out of that playoff. But again, it does bring the field. And that was also the first time in a number of years that we didn't get to 20 under. This is, again, our third straight with Minnesota, Detroit, and here in North Carolina with these birdie fests. You got to be low. So, well, how about the top, Geoff? I mean, this is basically, we'll address it at the top. It is essentially the Webb Simpson Open. The guys won it once, and it was 2011. But now we talked about it last week, how Webb was interesting to you, I think, but he was 50s, knowing that, hey, we kind of joked, Webb's going to be like 20 next week. And here we are, Webb, who, again, has, to his credit, rolled out of bed, regardless of form, and finished inside the top 10 here. Any interest in, I guess, anyone at the top of the board? Because we have, obviously, Zalatoris. We got Sugar Shane Lowry, Webb Simpson up there as well. What do you like at the top?
If I did play the top, I agree with some of the popular Sungjae touting that's gone on. If I did play it, I feel like it's just such a low number that he could race out to and compete with. And last week, I well, mentioning Webb, and I thought the number would be strong comparatively, and there's a chance to pop him early. I did end up like fading him, had Adam Scott matchups against him. So I watched him closely, like, and the guy was just did nothing. Every single player, I'm not kidding. You couldn't name a player under 40-1 that I would rather have bet Webb Simpson over. Like, I get he's got the course history. I don't care. I tracked quite a bit of him because I was pretty heavy in a fade situation last week, and nothing. And like anytime I was worried about him for a moment, he just made another mistake. Every player. Would I rather bet on Webb or any other player in that betting range? And even going into the mid to high 30s, I will take the other player.
Yeah, he basically lost across the board last week. So
he might actually, people like all this Webb chalk, he might actually be like DFS. Like, could there be a scenario where he's not chalk this week, where he actually ends up being like a pivot play because people are kind of like,
there are so many people that are going contrarian Webb chalk that it might not actually be contrarian Webb chalk. Like, it might be like, oh, I'm using 0% Webb this year in DFS. Like, like everybody is saying that. All of a sudden it's like, hey, you might actually want to pivot. He might be a leverage spot to actually use him. But agreed, he wasn't great last week. I got to look. I feel like I used him in a matchup here or there.
3 straight weeks of losing on approach.
Guys.
Yeah, that position A from the fairway, Ryan. I go look at some other guys for a minute. I come back, I see Webb's making bogeys. I'm like, okay, that's as long as that's good for me. I don't. There's no life there. I'm betting on some guys who I think got some life, and they have the same number, better numbers, but I don't know. I feel like there's more there, but I'm wrong a lot.
I bet him 2 days in a row over Jason Day at a number I liked, and
it didn't go well.
You got to be able to give me that, Webb. If you can't give me that, maybe go play in the Mackenzie Tour.
And if Willie cracks it, it'll make sense. I guess. Doesn't really feel like the Willie event, like Sedgefield. Willie, like, give me the hard events. Almost play horribly. Maybe get like any number as big a number as you can for the full fields, strong fields coming up.
Yeah. Good thing too with Willie, because we're, again, obviously, if we think he can win.
Yeah.
We think he can win against big fields, big courses. He can obviously go out and win the Wyndham. But at the same time, like, I think part of it is also just this course where I think we lose a little bit of the edge from the long irons, which is why he's so damn good. So I think that's
there's courses that eliminate like 70% of the field.
Yeah.
That's where I want Will Zalatoris. Not where those guys all can do their, not at a place where Davis Love the third won. Like, anyone can win.
Yeah.
And I say this a lot. If Tiger like ever adds more to the schedule that isn't majors, this will be on it. And this is where, if I do make a bet, if there's like a bet, where will Tiger break the Sam Snead record? It will be right here. If Davis Love won here north of 50, Tiger can plot around this place and win it. No problem. If he's
funny you brought up Snead.
Healthy's relative,
he won this event like 100 times in like the 40s. Like, this was his jam back when it was called the God knows what Statesboro, Greensboro Invitational Open before Chrysler was invented. It's funny how all these tournaments used to be named after cars that they just don't make anymore. Chrysler's not a thing, right? It's just Dodge. Like, We don't have that. We don't have Buicks anymore. Buicks went away. Maybe we still have. Yeah,
We
we have
still have
Buicks.
Buicks.
Oldsmobiles went away. That's what we have.
Yeah,
But either
Tiger
way,
was the big Buick guy. Remember
Yeah.
those Buick
I was gonna
commercials?
say the
Yep.
in-laws have a nice Buick, but
Chrysler. Oh, they still do the minivans, I think. I
Yeah,
think.
and they still do your town and countries. You know,
Oh yeah, my mom had one
caravan
of those.
guy.
Rode around one of those.
one of the
my life.
most humiliating things in my life was I had a little Lexus IS, old school IS 300, and I traded it in for a town and country, and the finance guy just wouldn't let it go, and I had to. It got uncomfortable, and I was like, my wife is pregnant. I'm having a child. This is humiliating for me. Can we please stop talking about it? He's like, oh, trading in the Lexus for the town, just over and over again, like relentless. So yeah, it was pretty rough. It was not great. So, and every time I see one of those old ISs, I think back to those single days. But hey,
the Red Dragon. It's not
move
exactly
on.
street legal. I didn't bet anything. I couldn't bet any of these guys near the top. They have the skill sets. They're all good enough to win. They all match up pretty well in the course fit stuff, but like, I don't know. Shane Lowry has had some troubling performances in round that don't make me want to bet him at a short price in a full field. Sung Jae isn't the guy that usually gets my money. Zalatoris isn't getting my money at that price. So I mean, right off the top, I'm like my first bet, and I hate this, but I look pretty long and hard at Billy Horschel, like 22, because God damn it, the form is there, and he matches up well, and like that's when I look at a tournament and I go from top to bottom, and the first name I land on is Billy Horschel. That's a good week to sleep in.
I don't know that I haven't been in this year for sure, but I fired a Billy on 20. Again, we're back in the Southeast. We're on this championship Bermuda grass that he loves. No one's won more events on tour in the last decade than Billy on Bermuda. The accuracy off the tee has been great. 16 of 17 measured rounds so far this year. He's been plus in terms of adjusted accuracy rate off the tee. Loves this place. And again, I do think that we have seen some, not just Webb, but I do think we've seen some course history matter here in the last handful of years. So you guys that, have, either won or, consistently finishing, near the top of the board. And we've seen that with Billy with the last couple. He didn't play last year, but second the year before, 6th, 11th, 5th back in 2016. So yeah, Billy Horschel, there are 22s out there this morning. So I think that's a nice number where you see like 14s on DraftKings, which is, I think, not great, but 20 I have no problem with. So that's my shortest on the board.
Yeah,
doesn't feel great.
I got a 22, and again, it still doesn't feel that great. But there were some guys in that range that this is kind of what my card is going to look like this week, which I know that sucks. I got 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I have 3 guys in the 20s. And they're Billy Horschel isn't an Andy guy, but the other ones for sure are. I'm not sure I've ever been Billy Horschel. I've been a Billy Horschel fade guy, and it hasn't always worked out for me.
I don't know your card, but can I guess the next one?
Yes.
Cory Congress.
Obviously. Speaking of the Mackenzie Tour, God, this guy has the toolbox to just crush this course too. Like short to mid-range irons. If they play like they played, I've said this numerous times, if they play like they played last summer, he's maybe the best in the field. Like he can get hot. He got super hot with the irons last summer. He had a bunch of good finishes, and everything fits for Cory Congress. So yeah, found a 25, had to play it.
That's where I started. Cory Con.
Yeah.
28-1 for me.
Oh, 28. Never mind. I have a 25 for someone else.
But yeah, I would still play the 25. I think there's still some 27s. Just perfect course fit. And may I like to use a little gut feel. I think it's outside of your polarizing popular Zalatoris Cam Young situations of like everyone thinking he's so due for a win. Cory Congress is probably like in a belower tier, probably the most due to finally win again. And with what's happened the last 2 months, it's time. Those guys are cashing in.
Yeah.
Cory Congress, and I know the broadcast brought it up briefly, Him and Pendrith are really good buddies. Pendrith moved in with him during COVID because border hopping was a bit of a bitch. In Florida, moved in with the Connors and their baby in it, I believe. And like I would even assume, as corny as this sounds, like watching one of your best friends who's never won, who's like in a lower tier of PGA Tour player, be in that spot this weekend. He must have been so fired up from the couch, like just a reigniting Cory Congress right before the FedEx Cup. I might bet him again in the FedEx Cup, but we're going to go right here. Connors 28. And then to your boy Nooners, Henley a 30 for me to follow that up. I feel like he could be the hyper popular bet chalk that really just disappoints this week. But I'm here on it, and I was quicker to that than, say, the Siwoo stuff, which I totally get. It makes so much sense. There's every dot to connect, but my second move was Henley.
No problem with that. I didn't do it. I moved on Siwoo, actually. I got Siwoo at 33. I figure like I wanted to choose one of those two, and I feel like Henley showed up well last week. Obviously, he didn't, close the deal, but was in the mix.
Him and Siwoo very similar sort of weeks leading into a tournament. You like both of them have good lead in.
Yeah,
we know people bet in both of them, and for a good reason. I would say.
Yeah,
I feel bad. I haven't pulled the trigger on him. I'm gonna search around. It might be an Iowa trip, but I feel bad betting him at 25 because that's what I'm finding right now. When I was able to get him at 55 in Detroit, and it's weird to say these words out loud. The Detroit field was stronger. Like that's a thing we're going to be able to say about this. And it's not even an alt event, but still it's a big jump. And he is an Andy guy. He's guy bet. So he's right on the cusp. I'm going to hunt around. If I can find something a little better, he's making the card. Like,
are we talking about Henley or Siwoo? Sorry for you.
Henley. Yeah. I'm not a Siwoo. Andy's not a Siwoo guy.
Ryan loves when Andy uses third person.
Never have been. Although we do have I think we have another match coming up here soon.
Yeah, and Siwoo's talked about again. We have Donald Ross, but we have some strong ties that resemble Pete Dye type tracks. We know Siwoo on Pete Dye tracks. He's talked about this one being his favorite course on tour. He won it back in 16. He shot a 60. I think it was the third round, and then even the last couple of years, like second, third, fifth. Like there's something here with Siwoo, and obviously coming in with some form with a nice showing there in Detroit last week. So Siwoo was my next at 33. Yeah, I get the 20, like they're 22s out here, 25s. It's a little tougher. I'd probably go Henley if I had a longer number on Henley, but they're both pretty close. I feel like I can guess another one of Geoff's. I'm guessing Geoff went to the well here on Harold Varner.
I have. Harold Varner, I took a 40. I bet it at 35 to start my morning yesterday, and then got a full cash out on that when someone posted a 42 yesterday morning over at Duel. So that is the third bet that I have made, and I don't know. He really does fit with some of these past winners. It seems like a place he can take full advantage of, be in the mix, make a ton of birdies. Everyone's telling me I probably need to make like a first round leader bet to accompany that ticket. And I don't normally bet first round leader, but I guess maybe I will for peace of mind now, because so many people have like just said that to me.
That's what we didn't do like donkeys with Pendrith either.
Yeah, I don't really feel.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't bet them often. So
yeah.
We were on the right guy, and it just didn't come.
So yeah, I like Varner a lot. I've overbet Varner, I guess, this year. Been a few close calls. Nice spot, decent number. I'm in on that, and I'm circling around a bunch of other guys that are sort of right in this range, and you'd probably be able to guess those ones too.
I'm surprised Adam Scott has not been mentioned, but I'd imagine he's circled.
Yeah, fair. Nice little run here last year after Henley blew it. He then blew it in the playoff, had a short one to win. Yep. Apparently there's 40s over there that someone's offered to get for me at a Fox bet. It's something I don't have access to, but 40 seems totally fair. He played 3 great rounds. I don't want to say great, 3 very good rounds of golf. A Saturday, I was really excited for that Scott Tagala pairing Saturday. They were like those two and Lee Hodges, another were a few to go backwards in those scoring conditions on Saturday. But I like Scott, and I'm staring at Hatton, who I've seen drift to 40, and I'll quickly put some air in his tires because he's probably the most likely bet that I'm going to make at 40. I just think it's really good value, guys.
Yeah.
He's
a class above the rest of these guys.
There are risks, but I want to say, like, he got into the 80s at the PGA, and I propped him up. I did a lot of things, and he really performed. Was it the PGA? What am I? Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes he gets too high, and Hatton should be like in that lot higher 28s if this event was a few months ago. Now, I'm hoping that his good Scottish and Open Championship, it's hard to like, oh, you played good on comfortable courses, links courses for you. How will that correlate to Sedgefield? That's a risk I'm taking. But I think that like the 40 on Hatton, that's a talent play, guys. Like that's a fair talent play. And people say it's a way smarter even bet to make than a Varner bet or some of these other guys and a Denny Mac bet. Like, you bet the talent here, I think, maybe on Hatton as he's sniffing 40s. That's my sell job on him. And I honestly got nothing to say on any golfers for a while, I think.
I do think he is a class above when you're looking at Hatton at almost double a Russell Henley number.
Like, is he really not worth like double those guys? I don't think he is.
I think the Tom Kim story is great. He's playing terrific. It's hard to argue with that. But again, like, we're looking at Tom Kim at 30 and Hatton at 40. That just seems wrong. Again, form matters, but at the same time, like, yeah, it's just the class of player it is.
Hatton's form is good though. An 11th at the Open Championship,
sure.
20th at the Scottish. The only thing is, does that correlate to, South?
Yeah, he's only played here once. It was a few years back. It wasn't a great performance. I don't like to take stuff from like 6-7 years ago and say like, he played here once and he missed the cut.
Not a hard course though. If you're like feeling good,
it's almost like the Adam Scott thing. To full disclosure, I bet against Adam Scott last week in a matchup, and it was dead in the water. But they both made the cut. It was the only matchup I had going into the weekend. Every other one had won on the cut, and I said, "Well, I'll go 3-1." And then Saturday happened, and Adam Scott drops just half dozen strokes, and I think it was Keegan. So I had a 10-stroke swing on Saturday in that matchup. Yeah. Suddenly, I'm up. And then it did not end up winning. Scott ended up having a very nice Sunday. Keegan lost by 1 stroke. But Scott is not someone I ever have ranked terribly highly. And Hatton, I do like him, but again, it's like he never plays this part of the court, never plays this part of the schedule. I don't know quite what to do with that. It is a good number. I'm usually passing on some of these Euro guys who pop back and forth like this.
Yeah, he's been spraying it off the tee a little bit. It's kind of the only thing too.
That is right. I looked where I had him a little lower. I do value finding the fairway because, especially in Ron's preview, he explains it better than I. But it's not a hard course to find the greens in. In fact, one of the highest greens in regulations in any stop on tour. But it has one of the biggest differences between if your ball lands in the fairway and your ball lands in the rough in greens and regulation percentages. And it's not even like 5-inch rough. This is 2.5, 3-inch rough. It's just shitty Bermuda. It's unpredictable, and it causes a lot of problems for your angles and your distance and your basically everything when you end up in this rough. So if you're finding guys who've been spraying it a little, I'm a little down on them. Although again, it's 40 in a field like this for a guy like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I just feel like, okay, one like little momentary thing on the driving range, and all of a sudden we're not spray. Like, I'm just trying to talk myself into how quickly we could just put the ball in play. And when you're at a place like this, you don't need to. You see this a lot with I forget the players' names. When they have to like drive out of their shoes on longer courses is when they get in trouble. But when they feel like their drive as is can sort of hang or is right where they need to be,
it's a good point.
It can be sparsed out. Now, I haven't broken that down with Hatton, but even sometimes, there's a really good player because I did this a few weeks ago. It was like, yeah, but like his horrible driving courses or performances are weighted, like his numbers are weighted down because he drives horribly at places he has to like fully max it. But I get it. I guess if I want to throw one name at you guys, it's any thoughts on Pendrith and going back there. He seems so sharp with those short irons, the wedges. It's where you can drive yourself into those exact same positions. Just my take on it, trying to play like am psychologist. I don't think there's like I think he like is a T2 on tour. It's money. It's like, I don't think it's a woe is me sort of attitude. But the numbers short, and it's always a bit of a wild card playing guys who've never contended really at that stakes, then right at it. But I think he's going to be great, but I don't know if I can bet him.
I like the kid a lot too, and that was a little nerve-wracking. Like when I messaged you, like we're excited that he's in the mix, but then you look on Sunday and it's Finau, Pendrith, Cantley, Cam Young, and you're like, ooh, one of these things is not like.
But and you love how he battled
this
back.
kid wins like Fortinet or Sanderson or something. I feel like he's going to compete again. It'll be in the swing season. We're going to see him
22-1.
Win
Taylor
is so hard to call,
Pendrith.
but
Yeah,
he'll have some top fives here in the swing season.
he's a no for me here because he's a bomber, and that's kind of what worked well last week, where he was able to put himself in position to have the short irons because he could just rip it off the tee.
I guess now everyone's got that short iron.
Correct.
You don't have to bring your driver to this course at all.
Yeah,
like you can straight up just play without it. I mean, there are some guys that'll vie for that option on a lot of these holes. So Pendrith, I'm a little out on. Again, same thing Ryan said. The bombing isn't going to help as much here, and it's hard to trust a guy like that at a much shorter number. A guy I kind of skipped over in that range. Apparently, I bet Brian Harmon.
Oh, okay. Did you get a good number?
36.
Okay,
which I can live with. Brian Harmon is he's another Andy guy too. Like I was a little worried about him because he struggled at Scottish, like pretty badly. But you see that a lot where it's like, you got to go play on this weird turf, and you struggle, and then he just bounced right the bleep back at the Open. He played well at the Travelers. He's played okay in the weird part of the summer in the past. We've seen a good performance at the Wells Fargo. I'm looking at last year. Last year is so screwed up. We had all these different. God, the Travelers is apparently his jam. He's just waiting to pop that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, another guy who's just his form is really, really good tee to green right now. It's a scoring course. If you're going to be great tee to green, if you're going to be a bit of a thinker, a bit of a technical golfer who can, just find their way onto every green, and, half of them are makeable birdie putts, you're going to compete at this place. So 36, I added him.
Can I golf nerd out betting or so I'm literally just about to cash out my Varner 42 at a full price in exchange for a Varner 45.
It's a good number. Where's 45? I mean, he's 25 on DraftKings.
365 enhanced win, right beside a guy who I need to know that the Aaron Wise 45s, Ryan. This seems like a nice opportunity for the Wise Army. Month and a half ago, I would have guessed you'd be betting him at 22-1 this week. Obviously, he's drifted a bit, but a talent play in a field like this, anything sniffing 50 has to feel like a very fair opportunity for you and your Wise disciples.
I hit 40. I would have been fine a little lower, but 45, if you can get an enhanced like you're mentioning, I think is great. Like you said, I'm on Billy Horschel. Last time we really saw Aaron Wise in a big way was in that final group on Sunday at Memorial with Horschel, and he just ball striking the hell out of it. I'd been putting well, and then we haven't seen him much. Actually, pretty decent finishes at the two majors, 27th at the Open, and then at the U.S. Open, and then 34th at the Open Championship. So yeah, I mean, ball striking and spike putting weeks, and we've seen it a little bit. And actually, from the 10 to 15 foot range, he's actually been pretty good over the last 24, 36, 50 rounds. So again, I think we've moved on from some of the putting woes that were a problem for him in the spring. So yeah, I mean, there's no shot I cannot play Aaron Wise at 40 on the last regular season event of the year. So definitely made the card.
Yeah, same. I found a 42 and change at Bookmaker this morning. I'm like, well, I guess we're betting Aaron Wise again. But again, just like you said, ball striking, he's probably more talented than a lot of guys in this range. Just doesn't have that win equity, doesn't have the name. I'm fine with that. So I added him. I have a bigger card than I normally do. Look at that. If I have Henley, I already have 5 guys in the card. Usually like
and there been Denny McCarthy popular last week. I guess another, not for me, but he's flirting in that 40.
I can never get there on Denny. Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe it's just a bias on like
people going back to Poston. I guess it makes sense. Like if I'm gonna tune this tournament out on Thursday and then I load up the app and to see him like 9 under through 14 holes and be like, okay, here we go again.
I can get there on Poston, the especially at the number in comparison to Denny. I can't get there on Denny. And I know putting matters. Right? We talk about statistically, you shouldn't have it in your modeling. I think we can all agree that there are just dudes that have a higher baseline skill, and Denny is obviously one of those guys. Just the rest of it is just so sporadic to me. So getting Denny, like I can entertain Denny in the 60s at times, but like 30s on Denny, like low 30s is just, it's rich for me. So again, Denny against Hatton, like I don't care if Hatton's spraying it. Like there's no chance I'm going to bet Denny at 30 and pass on Hatton at 40 or 35. It just doesn't, no chance.
I can't get there on anything outside of form. His form number is good for me, but everything else I'm trying to value, like just having some accuracy off the tee, putting yourself in good positions to find the greens and to destroy these 2 par 5s, like everything that matters at this course. He's not bad. It's not like, I'm going to bet against Denny McCarthy this week in matchup, but he's not good enough for me to take him at like a 35.
It feels like his number is in the 30s, where like maybe if you feel like you're getting, I don't want to say value, but something more fair, like you enjoy seeing the bump up with, say, like a Davis Riley slipping into the 50s. In that respect, seen a lot of people happily betting him this week. Haven't been able to get there myself. There's not a lot for me that I want to discuss between 50 and 100, to be perfectly honest.
I got a non-Geoff guy that I think is very interesting.
Week. I put air in those tires yesterday.
Okay.
I already know where it's going to go. I think it's Justin Rose, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I spoke about it on the pod with Mayo. That's one. Justin Rose, Adams Fenson are the two between 50 and 100 that I'm kind of sniffing around. Rose has done a lot of things really, I don't want to say nice or tight. Things have quietly come around. This wouldn't be the first time that I've acknowledged seeing good signs there. Maybe he's motivated by Stenson's $4 million win.
The irons that we're, kind of
the former winner here.
Proximity ranges that we need has been really nice for Rose for a bit. So, could be an interesting.
I thought I saw. I'll be upset if it's gone. Not like I ran to bet it when it was there because I knew it felt like top of market. I swear I saw 66s on like offshore Bodog Bovada floating.
I see just at legals 55 at Circa, 55 at MGM. But yeah, that 66. Yeah.
I'm seeing a 66.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
I don't hate it either.
I haven't done it, but yeah, in this range, like you said, you're not super interested. It sounds like Andy's mostly not either. I took a shot on Scott Stallings again at 70. Just been playing really good golf. And again, things that we're talking about that matters, I think makes a lot of sense. And there are 40s out there on Scott Stallings. So a 70 feels like a pretty good number. And going with the, home course narrative here with Alex Smalley, 80 on Smalley. Likes these Bermuda greens, likes his course. Not a ton of history. I think top 30 last year here. 80 on Smalley. I'll straddle it with a finishing position bet. But that's the last of my outrights. There's some other guys that I think are interesting, but I have not added them to the card.
Yeah, like I said, no bombs for me this week. I will just not play anything long. If I want something long, I'm going to play them in a top 20 bet. I don't have a lot of faith in some of these guys to actually win, whereas some weeks like, hey, Alex Smalley at 151, like he can win this sort of event. It's not, and usually when I avoid bombs, it's because it's like, man, the top of the field is just too good. Not the case here. It's just I do have a lot of guys in this, just, 20 to 50 range, and some of them I said, hey, I can't bet this guy. That doesn't mean I don't think they can win. Just like that number sucks. Like I can't justify betting that number. So there's so many guys in that range that I think can and will probably win this. That I am avoiding bombs. And the last two guys in my card are in that 60 to 70 range. I played Munoz and I paid Adam Long. Okay. Both around, I think one was 66, one was 67, which is weird because usually 66 is this nice range that for some reason I think decimal odds like to land it on 66 for some reason. But I did play both those guys. Munoz, another one who didn't play great over in Europe for the Scottish / St. Andrews swing, but played well at the US Open, and just going back in his form from like the Canadian Open back through the beginning of the year, tons of great tee to green performances. Phoenix, Genesis, Byron Nelson, all over 8 strokes gained tee to green, had some nice finishes, top 5 at the Byron Nelson, has played this course okay. Again, last year he finished 29th. He didn't have the tee to green numbers like that coming in. He was playing a little actually poor, really inconsistent through the early part and into the summer last year. So Munoz is a guy I liked a lot. I just haven't found ways to bet him lately. And I don't know, you want to devil's avocado him, or it's a big enough number. I think I'm fine with him.
Yeah. I'll always go to the well. The random times I'll make a first round leader bet, it's weeks when Munoz pops for me, and I'll just hammer him as a first round leader because I think he likes Thursday golf. But yeah, you could sell me on Munoz for sure.
What's your number on him to win?
66.
Yeah. So DraftKings at a 45. It's kind of all over.
He is all over the board. Like you're going to see like 45, 50, and then a couple places.
He gets unconscious. You'll know early kind of with him.
For sure.
Like, I mean,
you can unstar him pretty quick if you have to.
You'll know whether he's good because I don't know. Very like Siwoo like once they just get in this zone and it's like, oh shit. I wish I
probably will have to have a small first run leader with him.
Like overwhelming pin stalking at times for a guy like Munoz, which is I guess what you're betting on at a course like this. But yeah, I think Ryan mentioned Smalley, Svensson, Rose. I'm gonna look into those 65s on Munoz. That's who would be. I'm swimming around, but if I do stuff there, then it'll make harder to bet Adam Scott, who I don't actually bet nearly as much as I talk about, but I talk about him to the end of my process every single.
He's always first man off the card.
Yeah, even last week. Oh, if he gets this one, I'll be annoyed. At triple digits, I would say at 100, right at it. If I'm forced to pick something, find me that winner 100 to 1. I think the 110, 100 to 1 on DraftKings for Brendan Todd. That like, if you're forcing me to like, if you need it there, at just a course fit, he can sometimes really excel on these fast surfaces as well. We've seen him get hot with that stick. It's a really Brendan Todd prototype, I feel, situation. So that would be my 100 to 1 suggestion, which I think he's as low as like 70s and 80s in some places as well. But I don't even think I'm going to bet it myself, but I know people out there love the bombs.
He's 60 on PointsBet and 100 on DraftKings. So
yeah, and that's crazy. I mean,
yeah, it's a pretty large.
If you want to just, I said I won't bet bombs. I'm not going to bet bombs, but I still have bombs to talk about. Like I said, these are guys.
So then you could be like, I spoke about him. I didn't bet him.
I'm probably going to bet these guys.
Talking about him.
Top 20, top 30. I'm going to kind of do some evaluating. There's a couple guys that have some holes in their game that maybe are going to scare me off, but 100 to 1 ish guys or better that are probably going to get some money from me in positional betting. Brendan Todd made that list. Like, absolutely. He is actually at the top of the list of the guys I'm going to list as far as how much I like them, right there with JJ Spawn, who's another guy I will bet a lot in matchups. He can absolutely run like the sun. I feel like I used him on a Sunday matchup against. It was Hoffman. Hoffman shot 500 on Sunday. Spawn still won that matchup by a couple strokes. He is the kind of guy who can have a couple of these outlier rounds, maybe not win the thing, but he's liable to get a top 20 at a decent sized number. Tyler Duncan's a guy I use a lot in matchups too. He'll probably be a top 20. CT Pan is an Andy guy, but man, I have some question marks this week. He's on the list, but he's not on the list very firmly. He was put down in pencil and he might be erased. And then the only European guy I ever like, Aaron Rye. Let's go back and double check that, make sure I didn't bet some European guy. Billy Horschel's. No, never mind.
No,
Billy Horschel's very American.
Yeah, I'm with you. Some of those guys, like, again, I'm trying to figure out. There's nothing from a form standpoint that's like, hey, we should talk about Rory Sabatini, but that guy seems to love this course. Has like numerous out of form top 10s here over the last handful of years. 10th last year, 6th, 4th, 8th historically. Again, just like never. Probably the first time we've mentioned Rory Sabatini here on the show all year for a reason, but seems to like himself around here in North Carolina. We're talking about bombs. Steven Jaeger doesn't get better than the Jaeger bomb. It's been pretty dialed in from an approach standpoint.
Look what you did there.
See, professional, Andy. So he may be a guy to look at from a finishing position standpoints. And I had one more guy. I'm probably going to go back to Mark Hubbard in one way or the other. Like missed the cut on the number last week. But, the form's been great. I think a spot where we know what he does well actually is going to matter here this week. Again, all these guys are hitting from the same spot, basically from an approach standpoint, and his wedges have been pretty damn good. So Mark Hubbard will probably be a finishing position guy or maybe a matchup look for me too. So
I swear to go off topic here because the Padres just got Soto, my National League team, my San Diego roots.
Damn, they just did that? Ooh.
Yeah, and the Dolphins, I swear to God, the NFL was waiting for this Soto trade to drop the Stephen Ross Dolphins suspension.
They took around a first-round pick.
Yeah, this just dropped a moment ago as well. And before we leave, I want to say, because I don't want to forget, I will bet Victor Hovland next week. He's going to win next week. We're at St. Jude. Victor Hovland, and even if it's shorter than I want it to be, do not let me not bet Victor Hovland next week at St. Jude.
Sell me on it.
But I think the NFL was waiting for the Soto trade to make this news drop. Or I don't know if it's something they want out there, or if they feel maybe that's a coincidence. If people are satisfied, but it's
how do you suspend an owner? That's weird too. Like that's such a non-punishment.
It's not even a long suspension.
No, that part's weird. Like taking away a first-round pick is a big deal. That's a
third next year.
In the hands.
Yeah. Next year's a first next year and a third in the year after. Boom.
Yeah, those are starters. I mean, you're hoping.
And you know what? That's a problem because let's say they still have draft capital because they've done really good, and next year's the big QB draft. And the whole thing with the people with Tua is like it makes total sense. You go and you still have the draft capital to fully reset that situation, make a move next year's draft. It'll be really funny. Tua's not good. Well, that'll be funny for its own reasons. And they can't make the trade at the draft because they lost this huge piece that would have facilitated them being able to make the move.
Wow, that's massive. That is massive. Here I am just talking golf, and you guys are keeping up on the news. Good thing we have
you guys were talking long shots.
It makes for better shows. No one wants to hear you talk about Johnny Huh. They want to hear us talk about.
I was looking for a number. And then obviously, the buzzing. It starts buzzing.
Damn. Yeah, I got some alerts.
Why did the Nats have to make this deal? Like, why?
I'll tell you why. The main reason is there's a new owner. Well, they can't sign Soto.
But you're going to sell the team anyway. Why not?
Okay, the new owner is the word was the new owner pretty much demanded they trade him because no one wants to come in and buy the team. And then their first order of business
cut a $500 million check.
Oh, I'm trading Ted Williams.
True.
No. You let them trade Ted Williams, and you come in and be part of the fresh split. You don't want to be responsible for trading Ted Williams as your first act as the new guy in town. That's apparently what the insiders are saying. I'm not reading up on it.
Yeah. Wild stuff.
Well, I guess I'll put a few bucks on Padres 20-1.
It's probably cooked, isn't it?
I just found one.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Where?
Oh, never mind. It literally went down as I tried to bet it. USOB. Now I'm trying to mash in. Maybe it gave me NL at 10-1. But it took down the World Series odds though.
Ooh.
Come on, Bodog. What are we doing here? I'm just spinning through offshores. There's always somebody who screws this up. Like
I can get 20.
I've
right
had
now.
good
You want
luck
some?
with, like,
My Streeter's still got a 20.
oh, I'm pulling up paperheads now. Like we've got multiple tabs. We might have to call golf a day. Any final thoughts on Wyndham?
No, I think we covered it. I think we are kind of at the top of the board. So good stuff. Time to get some bets down. So
hopefully, do you have any fun facts?
I think
about
you talked me
naming their
into
kids?
Alex Smalley is going to be the most bomb I go. Okay?
same.
That's
Bets for golf's $1 a month. $1.
Yeah.
Take us home, man.
Come check out the tools, check out the articles, check out Ron's previews, if nothing else. Just $1 a month. betsportsgolf.com. We'll catch you guys. For me, for Geoff, for Ryan Noonan. We'll see you next week. And also DFS show this afternoon if you're into that sort of stuff. Ron and Byron back in the saddle. See you next week for the playoffs.